else.
WBSM presents The Tim Weisberg Show, streaming live on WBSM.com and the WBSM app. Call 508-996-0500. Send us app chat messages and open line voicemails using the WBSM app. Now, The Tim Weisberg Show.
Good morning. Happy Thursday to you. Welcome into the program. It's a bright and sunny morning. We'll take that. We'll take that start to the day. Especially when there's going to be some clouds that roll in later on. But we'll take the sunshine to get us going. About 50 degrees out there right now. So I would have to say that there's recency bias, I think, sometimes in the way that people look at weather. So I was seeing all these pictures people were sharing on social media last night after the hail came down, saying, "This is the biggest hail I've ever seen." And I'm thinking, well, you haven't seen hail in a while. We don't get it all that often. Maybe the last time it wasn't as big. But again, it's a recency bias is what I'll call it. But then I started seeing the meteorologists posting photos of it and them saying, "This is the biggest hail I've ever seen." So I was like, "Whoa, okay. Well, maybe there was something to it then." So if you were able to get out and see it yesterday, you might have seen something historic. I heard it, but I wasn't getting up. I wasn't walking outside in that. I just got home, long day at work, went to the gym, went home, made dinner, sat down, was eating it. Starts coming down. I was like, yeah, no. But, hold on. I could hear it bouncing off the plastic top of the trash barrels outside. And the metal of the bulkhead to the basement. And I said, that sounds like hail. That doesn't sound like regular rain. But I'm also nice and comfortable right where I am. But if you got a chance to see it, you might have seen something historic. Although I thought it was a little weird when one of my friends said that her kids went out and gathered up a bunch to put it in the freezer. I was like, for what? But hey, kids learn about weather. That's a good thing. So today we can talk about a variety of different things. But later on this morning, in the 8 o'clock hour, we're going to be joined by Victoria Grisella of the United Way of Greater New Bedford to talk about Stamp Out Hunger, which is happening this Saturday. And speaking of mail, if you're not familiar with Stamp Out Hunger, you'll learn more about it with Victoria later, but we've talked about it here for years on WBSM. This is the day when you make a donation for food and you put it out for your mail carrier to pick up. It's been a very, very effective food drive for a number of years now. It's really easy to do. It's not even, when we do our food drives with the United Way, we do the Hunger Heroes in the fall and in the spring. And even with ours, as easy as we make it, where we'll come over to your car, we'll take it out of your car. You don't even have to get out of the car. As easy as we make that, Stamp Out Hunger is even easier because you don't have to even leave the house. You just take the canned goods and the non-perishable items that you want to donate and you leave them out for the mail carrier, and the mail carrier takes them. So it works out very well, and they've been able to feed a lot of families through that program. But what happens when your mail carrier doesn't show up? Because that's what's been happening in one Massachusetts neighborhood. And when I saw this, at first I thought, well, sorry, folks, you're just going to have to deal with it. But then I was like, no, wait a minute. This is a government-funded service that we're expecting to work on time. I mean, the post office creed, nothing's supposed to stop them from coming and delivering except apparently not having mail carriers. And that's what's been going on in this, in a couple of different neighborhoods in Somerville, where there were stretches of days where they didn't get any mail delivery. Now, you and I, we've probably had that happen a few times where a couple of days go by, or maybe even one day we don't get any mail at all, and we say, oh, weird, I didn't get anything today. It's always, when you're waiting for a check to come or something, or a package to be delivered. But you're like, where's the mail? Oh, they came already. I just didn't get anything today. All right, I see. And, I can't go more than 2 or 3 days without getting a bill in the mail. So I would start to worry after a couple of days that something was wrong, but I'd give it a day or two before I was concerned. I actually get my mail over here now at the UPS store next to the station. It's a lot easier, a lot more convenient for me than worrying about packages getting delivered and all that kind of stuff. So I just get it all right over there. And there's days that I walk over there, and just yesterday, for example, I go over there, I open it up, nothing inside. Okay, guess I didn't get anything today. But if it was 3-4 days, I'd start to worry. And this multiple neighborhoods actually in Somerville, they have gone to the point where they're only getting mail like once a week. Now that seems really unusual. So they reached out to try to find out what was going on. And it turns out, the post office was only delivering once a week because they didn't have enough mail carriers to cover the routes. So they were pulling mail carriers off other routes and kind of moving them around. So imagine you're waiting for something to come in the mail and it's sitting there. It's there. It's waiting to be delivered. It's arrived at the post office, but it's going to sit there for a couple of days or maybe even an entire week before it's going to get to you. And these could be bills that you were waiting for. These could be if you are someone who still, pays bills by check, you're waiting for somebody to come and pick that up. These could be checks that people are waiting for, birthday cards that people are waiting for, graduations coming up, Mother's Day. And these pieces of mail are just chilling at the post office because there's nobody to deliver them. And if you've ever had mail at the post office that's supposed to go out for delivery, have you ever gone to the post office and tried to get it before it goes out for delivery? I have. It doesn't always work out. It depends on how that particular post office has everything laid out, but I've gone there and successfully gotten it, and I've gone there and been told, no, we can't do that. There was a time that I got something shipped. It was shipped by DHL, and I needed it. I forget what it was. I can't remember what it was, but I needed it. And the DHL driver said that they went out to try to deliver it, And it was toward the end of the day. They went out to deliver it, but nobody was home to accept the delivery. It needed a signature. And they went to the wrong address. My street name had a similar street name to another street name in town, and they went to the other one. And nobody was home at that corresponding number. So they took the package, put it back on the truck, and brought it back to, I think it was Taunton that it was out of. So when it's, 5 minutes of 5 or whatever, 5 minutes of 6, it was supposed to be there by the end of the day. I called the place and they're like, well, they couldn't go. It's going to be brought back here. You can come here and pick it up, I guess. Somebody will be here till maybe 7 o'clock. I was like, all right. So I got in the car and I flew to, it must have been Taunton because I remember going to the Galleria Mall right after. And then when I get there, they're still open. Somebody's still there. But they said, oh, well, the driver didn't bring back any of the stuff. So they must have it still in the truck. They'll try to bring it to you tomorrow. What? Yeah, they'll be there first thing. Well, I won't be there first thing. I'm going to be at work. So it turned into a whole big debacle. I know what it was now. It was concert tickets that I was given by the venue, by the record company. And they gave them to me. It was the day before the show. That's why I was in such a rush. That's right. So anyway, I feel the pain of these people in Somerville that are waiting for things to be delivered that are sitting there that they can't get access to. But I don't understand how it gets to that point where it's once a week mail delivery. I'm sure they're getting their Amazon packages, no problem. Amazon has enough drivers out there delivering packages. In fact, they'll actually, what's the word I'm looking for? Subcontract other delivery drivers to deliver packages. Because they have more packages to be delivered than they have drivers sometimes, so they'll hire other people who are out on the road. I know someone who delivers newspapers who picks up extra work by delivering packages. They'll say, we've got some packages if you want to take them while you're out. But the post office, the government-funded post office, can't find people to deliver mail at least. I mean, I get maybe not having 6-7 days a week, but 4 days a week I would expect. I mean, thankfully, I don't think this happens too often around here where we have deliveries that are, mostly done by drivers and vehicles. A lot of these Somerville routes are probably foot delivery. But I think these folks have a right to be upset. And this is, kind of a basic tenet of society in the 21st century is that we should be able to get mail delivered. And then they wonder why people don't want to use the post office. They wonder why people will ship packages with other companies or why they will pay bills electronically and receive bills electronically. I try to get all of my bills electronically, mainly because it's easier for me to keep track of things in an email form than it is for me to have a stack of envelopes on my desk at home. What I do is when I get the bill, I just leave it as an unopened message until I'm ready to sit down and pay them, or I'll pay it right there when it comes in. and then it's done. I don't do the same when it's a physical paper bill. And I certainly don't want to have to mail things because I'm even less dependable with putting things in the mail than I am with opening things I got in the mail. But I still would expect that service is there if I decide to use it. 508-996-0500. You can also use App Chat and open line voicemails in the WBSM app. But right now, I'm going to take my first break of the morning. We will be back in a few moments. Before we go into the news, let me read an App Chat message that came in from Dave in New Bedford. He says, I use an app put out by the U.S. Postal Service that sends me an email every day that shows me scans of the mail that should be delivered that day. So that's a very helpful thing. I use, especially when I'm sending packages like that I really care about. I will get the return receipt, the receipts that they send you to allow you to know where the package is, in addition to giving you a tracking number for the person who is receiving it. I just don't send a lot of stuff anymore in the mail. I don't mail a lot of things. I do almost everything electronically. But sometimes when you've got to ship a physical item, you don't have a choice. Although I just use the UPS store now because, again, convenience. It's right there. And I don't have boxes and tape and all that. So I can go in there with the item and say, I need to send this. Okay, we'll grab this box. We'll put this around it. We'll tape it. There you go. So very beneficial in that regard. But I would recommend, something like that app that Dave uses. I would have that if I were you so that you know what's coming in the mail. You know if it's worth even, racing home to check the mail, and especially the time of year when kids are looking at college acceptance letters. That was the most intense time ever for waiting for the mail. Because they could come any day. You had no idea. And, of course, the one you're waiting for comes when you're not home. I remember calling my parents from the payphone of a Friendly's where I was with my school honor bowl team after we had just gone to a meet. And I was like, Mom, did you check the mail? Did my letter come from Harvard? And she says, it did. All right, open it up and read it. Open it up. Dear Mr. Weisberg, we're sorry to say we will not be accepted. Oh, all right, fine. Bye. Going to go eat my ice cream. Drown my sorrows. Anyway, it is time now to go into the newsroom and get all the headlines of the day from Phil Devitt.
Biden says U.S. bombs have killed Palestinian civilians, a $10 million reward for a Russian hacker, and a new version of The Office is in the works. This one will be different.
From the WBSM Newsroom, this is WBSM News.
President Biden is confirming that American bombs have been used to kill Palestinian civilians. More from Mark Mayfield.
On Wednesday, Biden spoke with CNN after the U.S. paused a large shipment of weapons headed to Israel. He said civilians have been killed in Gaza as a consequence of those bombs and other ways in which Israel goes after population centers. Biden added that if the Israeli military decides to launch a ground offensive in Rafah, where over 1 million people have been forced to flee, then the U.S. will not supply them weapons. The White House has advocated against an offensive in Rafah, but hasn't laid out any plan for protecting civilians. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Former President Trump's New York hush money trial resumes this morning with Stormy Daniels back on the stand. The former adult film star's previous testimony included graphic details about her alleged sexual encounter with the former president nearly 2 decades ago. Trump's 18-year-old son has been picked by Florida's Republican Party as a state delegate to the GOP National Convention. Tammy Trujillo with more.
Florida GOP Chairman Evan Power said Wednesday that Barron Trump will be one of Florida's at-large delegates at the July convention, where the party will officially make Donald Trump its presidential nominee. It will be the youngest Trump's first public entry into political life. 3 other Trump children, Eric, Tiffany, and Don Jr., will also be Florida GOP delegates. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
At least 2 people are dead in Tennessee after a day of severe weather. Tornado sirens were going off across several southern states Wednesday night, and 4 tornadoes were reported south of Nashville. Officials in the county of Maury said at least 1 person was killed and 4 others were injured by a large and destructive tornado. Arizona Republicans are again trying to make illegal border crossing a state crime, giving local law enforcement the power to enforce immigration law. NBC's Bram Resnick reports.
In addition to giving Arizona police the power to enforce federal immigration laws, the ballot referral would mandate broader immigration checks for people seeking jobs or government benefits.
A previous attempt was vetoed by Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs, so this time the GOP wants to take the issue directly to voters. The Secure the Border Act would go on the ballot in November when, if approved, it would not need the governor's signature. Stephen Mnuchin says he's still interested in buying TikTok. The former Treasury Secretary under Donald Trump told Bloomberg Television he's spoken to several tech companies about how to rebuild the app. President Biden recently signed a law requiring the Chinese company ByteDance to sell TikTok or have the app banned in the U.S. U.S. officials are offering a $10 million reward for a Russian hacker who ran the world's largest ransomware scheme. The Department of State said this week that a manhunt is underway for 31-year-old Dmitry Koroshev, whose whereabouts are unknown. A federal indictment says Koroshev was the leader of a mercenary ransomware group called Lockbit that tried to extort millions from major targets, including Boeing and the British Royal Mail. And a new version of The Office is in the works at Peacock. Variety reports it'll be a new mockumentary show with a brand new cast rather than a reboot of the classic NBC comedy. The show will see the documentary crew that followed Dunder Mifflin's Scranton branch now follow Midwestern newspaper office and a publisher trying to bring that paper back to life with volunteer reporters.
WBSM Sports.
The Bruins blown out in Game 2 of their best-of-7 second-round series, falling 6-1 to the Florida Panthers. They play Game 3 tomorrow night at TD Garden. Red Sox drop back-to-back games after being shut out by the Atlanta Braves 5-0. They host the Washington Nationals for a 3-game series beginning tomorrow night at Fenway. And the Celtics hoping to extend their series lead over the Cavaliers when they host Cleveland in Game 2 tonight.
Now, your ABC 6 South Coast forecast.
Patchy fog this morning, dense, localized. Temperatures in the mid-50s, mostly cloudy skies. This fog should be burning off as we head into the 7 to 8 o'clock hour this morning. Mostly cloudy this afternoon in the lower 60s. Chance for showers develops tonight after midnight. And tomorrow, cloudy chance showers with a temperature on the chilly side in the lower 50s. Be sure to watch ABC 6 for my full 7-day forecast. From the ABC 6 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Ceci Del Carmen on New Bedford News Talk Station 1420 WBSM.
I'm Phil Devitt for WBSM News. Stay up to date with New Bedford's News Talk Station WBSM and get all of our content and breaking news alerts with the WBSM app.
We weren't going to pot this down until we got to the Michael McDonald part. That's for sure. 508-996-0500. You can also send app chat messages and open line voicemails on the WBSM app. But you might want to ride like the wind over to the butcher shop and get yourself some great deals on some great cuts of meat. Now, the Pinaretta family takes being your neighborhood butcher and grocer very seriously. You know, they want to have everything that you need right there inside one little shop. That's why they carry things like soccer balls, because they know that people are down there playing soccer and they're looking for a ball and they can be the place to supply it. They've got all kinds of things. In addition to, of course, we talk about the meat all the time because, again, a real old school butcher is something that you can't really find these days. There's only a few around on the South Coast where you can get them to cut the meat exactly the way you want it, where you can see what it is that they have to offer right there in the case, where they will talk to you about ways to prepare it. Well, they'll marinate it for you or season it for you before you take it home. They'll even cook it for you if you need them to. So we talk a lot about the meat, but we also should focus on the fact that they have a huge beer and wine selection down in the wine cellar. Things that you can't find anywhere else. Bottles of wine that start at $5 and go all the way up to, and I'm not kidding about this, $500. So if you're looking for something to impress, looking for something to give as a special gift, or looking for something to really treat yourself or add to your collection, they probably got it. They have a cheese fridge with cheeses from all over the world. Stuff you're not going to find in the supermarket. They've got all the other items that you may need to grab for making dinner tonight. But if you don't want to make dinner, that's okay, because they make their own meals every day. Every day they're cooking up something good. You can run in and get it to go and have a quick lunch or an easy dinner from the butcher shop. Keep them in mind for all your parties. They'll do party platters. They'll do whatever you need, because that is the level of commitment that they have to you, the customer, and to you, their neighbor, and part of their extended family. So check out the butcher shop, 123 Dartmouth Street in New Bedford. I wonder if anybody was outside trying to grill something up last night when that hail came down. I would go out and use my grill in a blizzard. Doesn't bother me. I'd much rather use the grill than cook something in the house, and I'm going to go out there no matter what the weather is. In fact, we had a stretch. Remember that blizzard we had? I think it was 2015. Was that the year that we had all the multiple blizzards? And there was one in February that knocked out power, and I was without power in Wareham for over 2 weeks. There was no electricity in my house. We actually had to leave my house and move into my mother-in-law's basement. And I think I might have slept like 4 or 5 of those days in my mother-in-law's basement. And then I went back and stayed in the house because the dog was there, and thankfully it didn't get too cold, and we had hot water because that ran independently of the electricity, but I would be outside cooking myself dinner on the grill. And I learned to cook a lot of things on the grill that I never thought you could cook on the grill. Anyway, 508-996-0500. App chat and open line voicemails on the WBSM app. I hope that you've gone to WBSM.com and voted for the mother-daughter lookalike that you think most look alike. You only have today and tomorrow to vote, and then we're going to announce our grand prize winner on Monday. So there's 100 mother-daughter combinations on there for you to take a look at and decide which one you think looks the most alike. And, even if you don't think they look the most alike, but, it's your wife and daughter, you should probably vote for them. Even if you see somebody else that you say, oh, Well, they look way more alike than my wife and daughter do. Vote for your own wife and daughter because you want them to win this prize. It is a huge prize package from all the great sponsors of this contest, including a $1,000 Cardi's Furniture and Mattresses gift card, courtesy of Nairobi, two $125 gift cards to Sister Salon and Skincare in Mattapoisett, along with two $50 gift baskets packed with skin products. So they can use those $125 gift cards for spa services for themselves. Two $75 Alianza restaurant gift cards to Mi Antojo Mexican restaurant. So they're going out to eat a couple of times. Treats from the Acai Spot in New Bedford. And Mommy and Me bracelets from Corey Jewelers. So if you want to vote, get over to WBSM.com or the WBSM app now and click on that mother-daughter lookalike contest. Go through the 100 photos and vote for your favorite at the bottom of the list. And you will be helping to select the winner of that huge grand prize package that we will announce on Monday. 508-996-0500. I'm going to take my next break. We'll be back in a few moments. Welcome back. And you know, there's a couple of people that if they try to fly Spirit Airlines ever again, they're going to be saying, hey, hold the line. We got to get these people out of it. Because there was a group of passengers who got into a fight on a Spirit Airlines flight that was en route to Boston that are now banned for life. It was a flight from Myrtle Beach to Logan on Tuesday night. There's cell phone video of it out there. Apparently, these people got into a fight, and it happened on the plane. There's no indication as to what started the fight. But a flight attendant tries to break it up. Nobody got hurt. It sounds like it was, didn't really amount to nothing to anything in terms of the fight itself. But as a result, the passengers who were involved have all been banned for life from Spirit Airlines, which I don't know how heartbroken they are about that. But I think that there's a certain modicum of behavior that's expected on a flight. And just because you're getting a Spirit Airline flight, which is, of course, not as it's no frills, we'll say, doesn't mean that you can act any less appropriate on the plane. And I don't understand people's behavior on airplanes anyway. Like, people are not cognizant of the fact that there are other people around them, that they're not the only person on this flight, that everybody else around you paid the same amount of money for that ticket that you did. It's just mind-boggling to me that you don't have the mentality when you get on a flight of, hey, we're all in this together. We all just want to get to our destination quickly and safely, and with as little hassle as possible. And then there are people who will intentionally be the hassle. I don't understand it. I just sit there in the seat and watch TV if there's a TV or a movie, or listen to music or a podcast or something, or fall asleep. I'm not looking to have a conversation with my neighbor. I'm not looking to get up and down 50 times. I'm not looking to bother the flight attendant for everything that I can get. And just get me to where I'm going. But other people are just insane. And you know, I get it if it's nerves. I don't begrudge the people who get nervous flying. But there are a lot of people who just have an idea of, you know, I should be catered to. Well, okay. There's other people on the flight. 508-996-0500. Good morning. You're next on WBSM.
Morning, Tim.
How you doing?
Not bad. One thing real quick, if you take your shoes off at the airport or in an airplane, you should be also thrown out.
Yeah, there's no need for that. There's no need for taking your shoes off.
I saw that once online. I'm like, if I was on a flight and there was a dude or a woman and they sat next to me, I would step on their feet. I would literally, every time I went to the bathroom or got up, step right on their foot. You will, oh my God. I will toss you out myself. That's like my biggest pet peeve. I've seen it a couple times in the airport, never on a flight. But if I ever saw it on a flight where you're like constricted right there, oh my God, you have no idea. That's one of my biggest pet peeves, and it's like, cringe. The reason why I called, I was actually scrolling through the app, and I saw a story about Chick-fil-A prices and the fast food joints outpacing inflation for the last 10, 20 years. And it brought me to, kind of like an epiphany that a lot of your prices right now are so inflated, they automatically get blamed because everything's so high in regards to inflation right now. But a lot of it is in excess of inflation. Right. And I find it very interesting because a lot of people, the news reporters, everybody, they just say, oh, inflation's up. Look at the price of eggs. Look at the price of a McDonald's Big Mac. And they automatically just blame inflation, which inflation is obviously a huge problem, but a lot of it has to do with just they have. I mean, in reality, if you think about it, they have to outpace inflation or they'd never have any growth in their corporation. But when they are exceeding, I was reading the report, McDonald's over the past 10 years has exceeded inflation by 100%. That's insane. That's absolutely insanity.
And when people go to, they're like, oh, I just got to get a quick lunch. I need something cheap. Let me go to McDonald's. And then they get a combo meal and they walk out and they're like, why did I just spend $18 on this? Right,
exactly. Yeah, it's still fast food. It's just not cheap anymore. And I don't have a problem. You have to not just keep up with inflation. As a business, you always have to exceed inflation or you just never grow. And I have zero problem with that. The problem is when you're over exceeding, right? You're inflating the prices so much where McDonald's is, like I said, 100% in that article. And then you go further down. I think McDonald's was the highest price, and it keeps going down 80% higher than inflation over the last 20 years. We have to understand, inflation, we've always had inflation in this country. Since the inception of the Federal Reserve, we've always had inflation except for 3 instances where we had a brief period of time where prices went down. One was the 2008 crisis. The other time was in the 80s or 70s. Just before any big inflation. But other than that, we've always had inflation. Prices continue to go up in this country every single year during Donald Trump, during Obama, during now, obviously. Every year it goes up at least 2.5%. It just now it's been on focus because we hit 8 and 10%. But yeah, I was astonished with the prices of fast food, and it ain't even good. like I would pay 100% over inflation for Wagyu beef. That I have no issue with, because that, you're getting quality on top of it. They're shrinking the size of a Big Mac and increasing the price of Big Mac also.
And who's buying it? It's not the people who are keeping up with inflation and seeing their salaries rise. It's the people on the lower end of the economy. And maybe this is just me because I'm going through this weight loss journey, but I find that most fast food now just tastes terrible. Like it's pure salt.
Yeah, it really is. When you get away from salt, or you get away from sugar, and you actually taste it for the first time after that, like after you've been away from it for a while, it's a completely different experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy what your taste buds they kind of get acclimated to what you eat every day. And once you change it, if you start actually eating a healthier diet, and you're not acclimated to like that spinach taste or whatever, the healthy diet side, initially you're like, oh, this is nasty, but then over the course of a couple weeks to a couple months, you get used to it and you eat it, and it actually ends up tasting a lot better because it's a purer taste. It's not saturated with the salt and saturated with sugar, the artificial taste. You actually get to taste the actual food, which is, you're not used to it as an American, really, because we're so inundated with sugar and salt. It's crazy.
Well,
I figured I'd give a shout to that article. It was interesting.
Appreciate it. I gotta take a break here. I gotta go run over to McDonald's and get a McMuffin.
Yeah, pay $10.
I don't have the money for that. I'm just kidding. All right, you have a good day.
Yeah.
All right, we will be back in just a moment.
Ranching is risky business. My father survived the Dust Bowl, and I know that supplemental income, such as oil, was hugely helpful. That oil is now gone, but today we have 50 wind turbines, and with them, a new lease on life for this ranch. Change is scary, but everything that we have as a cherished tradition was once brand new. So that's how I look at it. I've been a cattle rancher for my entire life, and now I'm a wind farmer too.
Fuel for Thought, presented by the American Clean Power Association.